recently heard an interview on Magic Radio between Sean Plunkett and James Shaw about the decision of our socialist government to indoctrinate our children into the dangers of man-made global warming. This does not impress me, and the country needs to be made aware of these attempts by the left and their supporting left-wing teachers to indoctrinate our kids on how they should think. First, however, please help this channel by giving this video a like. Every like will help the YouTube algorithm. Thank you in anticipation. I am not a climate change denier. There has always been climate change, and there always will be climate change. And there is little, if anything, that man can do to alter or control these variations. What we are talking about here is not climate change, even though that is what it is called. But what is really meant is man-made global warming. There is much alternative evidence and opinion that there is no such thing as dangerous man-made global warming, but you won't hear anything about that in any of the mainstream media. Let's go through some of James Shaw's comments. James Shaw stated that in his opinion there would be a rise in sea levels of up to 1 metre over the next 80 years. History tells a different story. There has been a steady rise in sea level of approximately 2.84 millimetres per year since 1850. There have been some higher fluctuations both up and down over the short terms, but overall a steady rise over the longer term. This is even when the temperature of the planet has risen by about 1 degree over the last 100 years. Why should there be a sudden increase now over the next 80 years when there has in fact been no rise in the planet's temperature over the last 18 years? Very hard to explain, but make these wild predictions and you get your name in the press and we'll see what happens. It was stated by James Shaw that he had not found one scientist who does not think that climate change or global warming is human caused. He obviously has not been looking very hard. Just to name a few I have heard of: Willie Soon, Earth Sciences and Solar Physics; William Happer, Atomic Physics; and Dr. Patrick Moore, one of the founders of Greenpeace. All of these scientists and many others have expressed reservations over the current political agenda about global warming and the cause for radical reduction in the use of fossil fuels. I am certain that with just a little bit of effort these names and their opinions would have been available to James Shaw, but then the opinions of these gentlemen would not suit his narrative, would they? Also, these opinions would not suit the very politically left-leaning teachers and their agenda to indoctrinate our children in the way that they should think. James Shaw was using the reduction in arable land as evidence that global warming has ruined farmland. Could there be another explanation? Yes, there has been a reduction in land under active farming by about 1% a year, but this is mainly from increases in efficiency and better farming methods. As such, marginal land that was once needed for food production has now been returned to nature or used for tree plantations as a more efficient use of the less attractive land. Along with this reduction in land use, there has been an increase in crop yields. This, once again, from more efficient farming methods, the use of fossil fuel burning machinery, and the increase in the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere greening the planet. Not what the greenies want to acknowledge. Accordingly, we are still able to feed the world's population, and there has been over the years a significant reduction in absolute poverty. Both of these results were seen in previous periods of global warmth: the medieval warm period and the period during the Roman control of the known world. Both these periods experienced increases in farming production and reductions in poverty, just like today, and no global warming scaremongering. I have absolutely no problem with the intention of the left to teach their views about man-made global warming, but the alternative views must also be expressed so that the students will know that the science is not settled and that there is in fact another side to the story. Here are some facts that won't be taught, as these do not fit the fear-mongering narrative of the left. 1. There has been no warming for at least 18 years, even though the levels of CO2 have risen. Hence the name change from global warming to climate change. 2. There have been periods in the past where the planet has experienced warmer temperatures than today. 3. There have been periods when the planet has been colder than today, when the CO2 levels have been significantly higher than today. 4. Man's contribution to the levels of CO2 is minimal at best. CO2 at approximately 400 parts per million forms only 0.04% of the atmosphere, and man's contribution is just 3% of that small amount. Do the maths. 3% of 0.04% equates to 0.0012%. The laws of physics would surely mean that there is insufficient to make the difference that the alarmists are claiming. The schools program, as it has been set out, will not encourage discussion on these topics, but will more than likely demand acceptance of the narrative as set out by the left. Schools should be a place of learning, and one of the most important things that needs to be learned is the need to question. Do your own research and make up your own mind. Was it not a Jesuit who stated, "Give me a child for 7 years, I will have him for life," or something along those lines? This is just another attempt by the left to gain the control they need to ensure that we all obey their rules. Parents have the right to remove their children from religious instruction in schools, so I think they should also have the right to remove their children from this indoctrination as well. Well, that is the end of this video. If you would like to comment, both positive and negative, feel free, as it is good to have a two-way conversation. Remember to hit the like button, as that will help the YouTube algorithms. Any comments you wish to make may give me ideas for future commentary. Please share this video with your friends and family. If you wish to subscribe, then you will find out when I upload a new video. Just use the appropriate buttons. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.